This win is everything, and hence named our Game of the Week.
And it is such a big Game of the Week, because if you guys were looking at that standings before, you saw exactly what it meant for them. If Sin Academy managed to take a loss here, now all of a sudden they're 4-3, Athletico's 4-3, tiebreakers are on their way. Whereas, for Sin Academy, this is now or never. They need to make sure they get this win. That'll basically make sure that they're going to be moving towards that top 4 position. And there's a lot on the line for both the teams.
And I mean, players like Bedoink and Dan Dane, 5-8 just came from the OPL, so you can't say it about him. But Dan Dane and Bedoink, this is their 3rd split. This is their run through, and they said to me at the start of the split, we want this to be it. Like, we're sick of, we're sick of being in the OCS, and it's so important that, look, I like the OCS, but they want to get to the OPL. That is the goal for them. They want to go on up, they want to promote, or at least get into that promotion tournament. And each time, Dan Dane and Bedoink, they have been so close. So this game right now, we're going to see if everything really is on the line.
And what I'd like them to do is target Chaz. That's what Athletico need to do. We know Chaz, typically he always seems to struggle in that early game. He's an absolute monster in the late game, so it makes sense for them to say, all right, let's win this game early. Let's win before that 30-minute mark, before Sin Academy, their entire team composition really comes online. If Athletico manage to identify that specific weakness about them, where they like to like to sit back, trail it on until their team scales up, and then they really hit the mark at one particular moment. Just keep them on their toes, keep on pushing, put the buckle on. It's about pressure for Athletico. If they don't do it, they're going to be in trouble against Sin.
So if they focus on that weakness, we have seen the Oriana Cassidy and the Cogmore ban from Athletico Esports. You see Jace, Cho'Gath, and Cassiopeia. So unfortunately, Dan Dane loses that champion, but Aladoric, his Thresh, locked right in.
And that is something that's really just throwing down the gauntlet there, saying, you know what, I don't care if you are going to be taking the Rakan here. We're going to be testing you. You have to perform well in that laning phase, or you will be punished. That's essentially what Aladoric is telling Ever right now. So, I mean, with Squidgy, he's really been performing as well. You're most likely going to see a hyper carry coming through.
Or like the Tristana, he's played time and time again.
That's right. Or Callista as well. It really is a strong pick, especially when you do pick up the Rakan as well. Just lets them shore up any of those weaknesses at the same time. And we know Squidgy's also tried and tested on that Caitlyn as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if that is a pick coming through. But Maokai is also something that's really, I guess you could say, a high priority pick, in my opinion, at this point in time for 750.
We know last week that Praelis played the Maokai. He played such a good game of Maokai, and he was that bond. I was going to say bond of stone, maybe not. He was really that building block that Sin Academy built their whole team composition around. They get that first pick Maokai, and they can do the exact same thing again and easily adapt to Athletico Esports.
Absolutely, and he's just such a strong pick purely because of that ultimate of his. He's going to be tanky regardless. He's got so much CC and control, and basically he just gives you a free disengage, gives you a free engage every single time it is up. It allows you to have so much zone control. There's a reason why Maokai is so powerful at this point in time. He synergizes really well with the items there, the locket that comes into play. He does great as well when he does manage to pick up that full health stack and then follows up the Gargoyle Stone Blade. The change to the passive. He seems to be just really in a good spot at the moment. Sin Academy identifying that immediately.
This is already a strange ban phase, pick phase I should say, for Athletico Esports. So Corki was locked in as well, which you have to assume is Bedoink, and then Dan Dane on the Gragas. Yasuo wasn't banned away, but maybe they're just fitting in with 7.15.
I really like the Gragas pick because specifically with Athletico, we know it is going to be a flex. You know 5-8 can use it. And you also know that Dan Dane can use it. So all of a sudden, there, Sin Academy needs to go, all right, where's this Gragas going to be? How do we deal with this at this point in time? Same thing with Maokai. Maokai's pretty good when it going into the top lane as well. It really excels in jungle at the moment.
But yeah, especially because Praelis has played it before, I guess that's our indication that it will probably happen again. Tekka's coming through in the top lane for Sin Academy, over the past couple of weeks, and Tekka is someone who we have just, when I say over the past couple of weeks, he's been stepping up over the past couple of weeks. He's played the Galio, he's played the tank front lines for his team, but he's also shown some versatility in that champion pool as well. You saw the Braum was the last pickup forever, so he's not going to be picking the Rakan.
I do like it.
It doesn't look like they're going to go for the Xayah Rakan, which has been left open, and across the, across OPL, we've seen Xayah Rakan, top priority. They've just gone no Thresh, no Caitlyn, no Braum.
Yeah.
It's more important in the OCS.
I think that's what they're looking for is lane priority in that bot lane to make sure that, look, we know Squidgy's always going to be strong. We're going to give him something that we know he can perform on. Does well in the late game as well, so it seems to just sort of hit all the marks in that bot lane. If you look at the amount of crowd control Sin Academy have built there, now that opens up the rest of the compositions and picks that they want from then on. Now, ideally, what they need is some wave clear. We know Chaz loves the Syndra. I'm not sure if it's been banned. Oh, you know, it's been banned away. How unfortunate is that? All of a sudden, they managed to take away Talia as well. That's something that could have been matching Corki as well. So they really are targeting Chaz here. And I said this is something before, that Athletico need to identify Chaz. They need to hit him.
What I love here as well is that Syndra, the Talia's gone. Yes, they have targeted Chaz, but on the other side of the rift, they're not so sure that that Corki is going to be a mid lane pick. The Yasuo, the Vladimir to follow. Is that a wasted ban? Sin Academy will lock in that J4, which makes me think that that could, again, be a flex.
It is interesting. I reckon it would possibly be a flex with the fact that they did ban away Yasuo and Vladimir at the end. These teams do scrim against each other. You'd look at, like, a typical person would look at them and go, that's definitely going to be a Corki mid. And all of a sudden, when you've been versing them and scrimming them on the side here and then, you know, oh, wait a second. Guncrab's been taking that Corki from time to time, and it's been a really big mess for us. So it's really good in terms of them doing that, because all of a sudden it creates that mind game. It forces bans out of Sin that they don't want to use, ideally. And now we can see really the composition for Athletico is taken full shape.
Yeah, we saw the Tristana locked in as well, so definitely going to be the Corki mid. And then again, second week in a row, 5-8, will play his split pushing Kled specialty, which means that you have one more pick, and it is Chaz's mid lane pick. But there is so many options off the board. He locks in the Echo.
I mean, like, it makes sense. I would have preferred a more control mage with everything that they've got there in place. Again, you don't really need to have that heavy CC that a control mage brings, purely because you've got the Maokai. You've got the Brom already. So again, you have that versatility now for your final picks as well. And I think really in the end, they were just decided to go with, okay, what are you comfortable on, Chaz? What can you use? It does set up a 1-3-1 as well, available for Sin Academy as well. So they can take this to that supreme late game and just beat them with lane pressure. So Athletico really need to hit the mark with their composition and make sure that Corki is actually doing work early, otherwise they will suffer.
But I feel like in the late game though, Mendrix, Athletico Esports, the team composition, they have the Tristana, they have the Corki. Is there a specialized or a type of team fight that they can take against Sin? Do they literally charge it down mid?
Because they would have to. They're a 1-4.
So of course they are a 1-4, but you get to that 40-minute mark, you match up. Do they want to take that 5v5 if possible, or at least force everyone mid? How do you win this if you're Athletico Esports? How do you take the team fight, or at least the fight in general, to Sin Academy?
Basically, you need to make sure that you're out-rotating a 1-3-1. That's the big thing you need to do. If you're able to keep the pressure up in your lanes, they can't set up a normal 1-3-1, where ideally they've got someone that... Because the big thing is that even if you do take a successful team fight as a 1-4 composition against a 1-3-1, chances are they're going to take 2 turrets. All of a sudden, it's completely worth for them there, and that means that their side laner has picked up so much more experience. No one can really deal with him. All of a sudden, you have to send 2 people after him, and then objectives just start falling around the map because you have to deal with so much more. You have to be able to take those fights without losing anything in return. If you can do that, you're in a really solid position. That means Athletico need to win these skirmishes early.
Well, we do jump into game number 1 of our last OCS regular week. Athletico Esports taking on Sin Academy, our game of the week, purely because a win here could mean a position in the top 4 in the OCS playoffs, aka semi-finals, to get closer and closer to an OPL promotion spot. Remember, our top 2 teams in the OCS this split go forward and have a chance to fight their way up into the OPL. This is a very important week for all of these players. And Bedoink has decided this important week is going to be his Corki week. We've seen it before, we've seen the potential, and we've seen how deep Bedoink's champion pool is. I have no doubt he can play the Corki well, but how much better can Chaz play on the Echo?
So before I was a bit worried about that Echo pick because typically it forces your team into that 1-3-1. But now when I look at it, when I really start to think about it, you look at the Corki. Corki typically uses a lot of abilities that are skill shots. And with the Echo, he's a fairly mobile champion. He's fantastic at being able to move around in that mid lane, basically dodge out all the abilities coming from a Doink, and from there he'll be able to trade out. Also has excellent wave clear as well, so that sorts out all the details that they need to worry about their team, making sure everything's right there. So I think Chaz is going to be in a really comfortable position going into Bedoink, and it's going to be up to Bedoink to make sure that he can keep track of Chaz, because he will be roaming around the map.
He put a fast track on Dandane's jungle, but at the end of the day, Chaz is going to spot that one out with a ward, and they know exactly where Dandane's movements are. Prayless on the other side of the rift, will be going for his red as well. You know that Maokai has a slightly quicker clear because of those saplings, because of the brush.
One of the cheeky ways to really deal with that, as Chaz managed to get a lovely little trade
traded back,
is to actually invade early. See if you can actually stop the Maokai from setting up those saplings, maybe even force them to explode before they have their opportunity, because you can just jump in, aggro them, walk away. Basically, the typical way that you deal with a Shaco jungle is the same with Maokai earlier. Once he manages to get that initial setup, though, he'll be absolutely fine. So Praylist is going to be having an completely fine early game.
What skin is this, Mendrix? Is this one that just came out in 7.15?
I think it's a new one, yeah. I can't remember what it is specifically. It's a bit crazy,
That is a
cool looking skin.
Echo has like one of the coolest skins, I reckon. I reckon it's Echo, then it's...
He's got all the good stuff. He's got Project, he's got Academy, he's got the Sand one as well. He looks like Prince of Persia.
Yeah, I got that one. Yeah. But this one is cool, look at that.
Yeah, love it.
Graphics.
I love it. And then all of a sudden you can see that interaction that Chaz is able to use against Corki. Corki wants to throw that scale shot up. Ah, too bad. I'm just going to use a phase walk and get on out of there.
Yeah, the phase dive, of course, getting him out of the phosphorus bomb. We know that Chaz has had a really good run in the past couple of weeks. And Athletico Esports struggling to get off the ground. They are sitting neck and neck with their scoreline. It is SKT Echo. Thank you very much.
There we go. That's right.
Thank you very much.
Or I'm thinking, that means if he does the back, you actually get to see a thing there. Nice dodge.
Yeah, forcing the flash, however, and Dandayan, that summoner's going to be down, and Chaz down nice and early, but Bedoink doesn't have any mana. Let's see the returning gank from Dandayan.
And Chaz there, he needed to flash, because if Dandayan decided to actually go for his own flash body slam there to sort of match that, you're basically flipping the coin with as the Echo or as the mid laner there. You want to just not take that, end up taking that damage, and Dandayan's going to be more than happy to go for that return gank afterwards. Chaz is just probably going to play a bit safer now, focus on time winding out and not looking for trades against Bedoink while his flash is down.
Praylist has roamed down into the bottom side. He's getting the Krugs. Aladoric and Gunkrab are not aware of this. There is not a deep ward. But let's see what the next plays are, because Athletico Esports, their bottom lane has always been the height of their success. It's been Gunkrab and Aladoric, or recently Biwak, when he was in the roster, playing exceptional League of Legends and playing to that 30 to 40 minute mark, where they would position in teamfights really, really well. So, Praylist, does he know this? Does he focus in the bottom side? It looks like not this time. He's going to back off. And Gunkrab, if he has enough freedom, I mean, Tristana versus Kate, it's a pretty brutal matchup.
Yeah, in those early stages of the game, Caitlyn will be able to continue pushing out.
Of course.
Have that extra range on it, while Gunkrab will be slowly leveling up with the passive. Typically what you do find with Tristana is because of that explosive shot, they do tend to naturally push the lane out, which makes them susceptible to ganks. But at this early phase, because of how aggressive Sid and Academy are being in the bottom lane, Praylist wasn't able to find a gank because they were relatively close to their tower in that situation.
Athletico Esports. We've talked about how desperately they want this win, but I mean, Sin Academy have had a great couple of weeks. We looked at them versus Abyss Academy, and it just looked like an outclassing of one of our top teams. We've seen a different side of Sin Academy in the earlier weeks, where they were kind of moving forward and finding their momentum. And it wasn't the Sin Academy we see now. I think in the past, Athletico Esports would have been like, oh, Sin Academy, this should be an easy win. But you look at the roster now and you look at
the standings.
Exactly right. And this is a much more intimidating matchup than I think Athletico Esports would have thought originally.
And one of the things I really want to point out here for Athletico again is that idea of that shaky form. Because the thing is that these guys typically would have started off what they consider to be at their peak. You see they're going, yep, Athletico, they've got a great team. Everything seems to be going right for them. But they haven't had that level of incremental improvement over the series that Sid Academy have had. These guys have made sure that they've continued to have their strengths while showing up their weaknesses as time has gone on. And you can see that reflect in the standings. The fact that they are higher than Athletico at this point in time. The fact that they were able to take down the top contenders. Or what we consider to be the top contenders at the time of Abyss Academy. So Sid Academy have really grown, and Chaz is going in.
Yeah, comes on in with the phase dive again, but Doink is level 6. He's going to miss the big one. That could have been crucial damage. Dandayan's following this up.
He's going to have to ult.
He's going to walk away. Chrono Break, he has enough mana. He has to ult soon. The phase dive, Time Winder, flash forward, doesn't even use the Chrono Break.
There was no point, even if he used the Chrono Break at that exact moment in time, they would have been straight into a Gragas belly. But another fight in the bot lane.
Yeah, the action continues. Aladoric is stunned up with the concussive blows, flashes forward. The heal is saved, and Gunkrab will help her brother out as they just back away.
Crazy there. Now, I really want to go back to Chaz, because I think Chaz deciding to go in for that trade there was a mistake. His flash was down. I understand that maybe you want to get in to get a nice trade and get as much minions as you can out of it, but the thing is that you know Dane will be waiting there, and he didn't even have to use his flash to make that gank happen. You were already whittled down. You were already behind. Don't force things when your flash is there. I said, sit back, wave cleared. Just do that. He didn't do it, and he pays the price.
And Bedoink getting ahead, this is huge for Athletico Esports, and let alone giving him the first blood solo gold. This lane is now going to get further and further ahead. Chaz is just trying to get some deep vision, make sure he knows the movements of Dandane, but if you're Sin Academy, that is not a great start, and Athletico Esports getting Bedoink ahead early. This is all you could ask for.
And this is typically when you look at Echo's playstyle as well. He wants to be ahead in those early points of the game. He wants to be able to force that lane out and go roam. And now all of a sudden, now that he's on the back foot, it's going to be the other way around. And you don't want that to be the case when it's going to be a Corki who's going to be getting his package soon.
And of course, I mean, look, let's be realistic right now. Okay, he did get the CS, we're good. Nice. All right. Bedoink will be going back now. I assume he'll pick up that Phage or at least go for something like the Sheen. The Echo's still sitting comfortable in lane, has the refillable, has the Hextech Revolver.
That's a really nice power spike for him.
There are some trading abilities still there. But Bedoink, he hasn't backed yet. He keeps getting returned to the same spot. Chaz keeping him in lane for what it's worth.
And Chaz needs to do that. Chaz needs to make sure he's continuing to push that wave and keep him there, because the longer that he keeps him there, all of a sudden that extra gold advantage that he has just means nothing until he's actually gone back to buy. So that means he's safe in lane. He's actually going to be at an advantage having that extra power spike of the Hextech Revolver as well. Each trade, when that comes off cooldown, is going to just hit so much harder for Chaz. And it means that it sort of slows down the pace of Bedoink actually using that package effectively around the map.
Another point we did actually miss, Mendrix, that 5-8's going up against the J4 a second week in a row. We know that last week...
The Trundle.
Yeah, was it the Trundle? Was it the Trundle he was going up against? Okay.
He did well. He was a man possessed playing that game.
5-8 has had an exceptional run as well. Like, there's nothing bad we can say about these teams, apart from potentially Athletico Esports. Just a little bit inconsistent at the start. You know, this has been a bit of a slow split for them. And Sin Academy, it's been like a chart. Like, what do you call it? Gradient? Accelerating? Ascension?
Exactly. I mean, I was talking about it before. They've had those incremental improvements where Athletico is just sort of sat at this static point. And they've never really shored up those big weaknesses where they seem to just middle out towards that late game. But when you look at 5-8, this man, if he on the clear, just seems to perform so much well, creates so much pressure in terms of the split push. So if he's going to be able to keep that up, he should be effective in that regard. J4, though, typically provides a whole different amount of value to the game than what a Trundle does. He's going to be able to blow up those squishy characters. Gunkrab really does need to look out. Same for Bedoink as well. Whereas with the Trundle, he's more about chasing them down, keeping that lane pressure. So it's going to be that team fight orientation that 5-8 needs to worry about this time around, rather than that split push pressure.
But I mean, you don't have the Civer composition again. You don't have that on the hunt boosting you forward. 5-8 was really independent of that last week. And it has still been, you know, a story of how does Athletico Esports meld together? How does 5-8 fit into this roster? And we've always said he's pretty much a split pusher. You know, you put him on a carry rather than going for something like a tank. Like, his Shen days are still existent. We do see a bit of an engagement, but I think Gunkrab biting off a little bit more than he can chew there. Aladoric missing the death sentence was crucial. The Tristana not really finding anything early. It will be a 10 CS advantage for Squidgy.
I guess that's a crucial thing here, is that it's only a 10 CS advantage. Typically, Squidgy, very good on that Caitlyn, is able to force most players out. You'd think normally by this point in time you would have accrued a 20 CS advantage going into it. To have only 10 on a scaling champion who's more of a ticking time bomb in comparison to that Caitlyn's actually an excellent fit for this bottom lane in Athletico. So they're doing pretty well at this point in time.
Sin Academy is still that team that you can never really tell
what's going to happen, what's going on.
You can never really tell what's going to... And I do say that about Athletico Esports a lot, but it's because of how well they've been playing. And it's because of how this split has been going for them. And the fact that they are number 2, when in our power rankings originally, what did we say? We didn't really look at it as... We said, yeah, Sin Academy could be top 4. We're looking at Outlaws, Abyss Academy. We're looking at Athletico Esports, who should have been up there. We said, look, at the moment, because of Babip, it looks like Legacy Genesis. But Sin Academy have shown us that...
Legacy Genesis beat Athletico. last week.
That's right. So everything's wrong, Mendrix. Throw
Is
out
it
the
wrong
window.
or is it right?
Oh no, Tekka actually losing the Dragon Flag. And he has no mana. He'll have to back off, probably burn a teleport. This double TP composition not getting kicked off straight away, but gold is still neck and neck. You can see the CS advantages are helping, especially in that bottom side. But Protobelt is going to be the first item picked up on Summoner's Rift, along with Cinderhawk for Dandane and for Praelis, if you want to count that as well. Looks like Chaz will finally start roaming down.
Yeah, and the Protobelt is such a great pickup for the Echoes. It gives him that sustain, gives him that ability to jump in, really get into those team fights from far away when he does use a parallel convergence that seems to be off the mark, and all of a sudden, oh wait, no, he's in it now because of that Protobelt. 5-8 seems to be a man-possessed once again today, which is good to see.
Good on the Kled.
Must be really proficient on champion, must be hitting solo queue up quite a fair bit.
Well, you know, like, let's come back to the realistic point of it. No, let's not. Let's talk about how Badoink and Chaz actually now winning trades. That Protobelt first, because of how expensive, I guess, Trinity Force is.
Yes, that's sort of a typical thing. You're sort of in a power trough when you are the Corki, waiting until you do get to that Trinity Force. Protobelt is a cheaper pickup, so all of a sudden you get a better advantage because of it. They are getting control now of that bottom side of the jungle, which puts the Dragon at threats in Academy, beginning to put some, I guess you could say, more pressure on those objective controls at this point in time, because that is starting to go a little bit dark for the Athletico side. So I think they either need to get their jungler there ASAP, or actually force a gank in the top lane to sort of match it.
Yeah, Athletico Esports just having that one deep control ward. Rift Herald hasn't really been the priority. You talk about last week in 7.14. It was still a really high command from these teams to say, let's pick this up. We can do so much with it. And I think right now, speaking of the devil, Dandane may be soloing it.
And it makes sense. They said, you know what, Sin Academy is setting up control on that bot side of the jungle. We know Praelis is there. They have no control here. I'm the one that's in control. Kled's doing well. 5-8's got absolute lane priority at this point in time. Let's go for this objective. Let's let him waste his time. And to be honest, he's been on for quite some time. I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to go down, so probably in the next 5 seconds or so.
Yeah, no, Rift Herald being soloed here. Actually taking Dandane quite a bit, but it's going to be worth
it.
Can't get the eye. Hang on. Oh, no, wait.
Come on, do it.
No.
Hey, oh, no.
Ready? There we go. Very nice, Dandane. Very nice. Athletico Esports will pick up the Rift Herald.
That was 6 times. You went back and forth to try and get the eye.
I was there, Mendrix. I know exactly what happened. Unbreakable Door's going to stand in the way. The Squidgy will survive another day. Rift Herald instantly summon up topside, but Doink roams up here as well. Tekka's in a lot of trouble. Praelis, the march of the Ents. There's so many tentacles coming at you, but the turret is already down, and Praelis can't do a damn thing, as Rift Herald will secure the first turret blood.
In Sin Academy, we said they need to do work on it, but there's more happening.
Death Sentence Ace in the hole will hit Gunkrab, and the Flay forward ever has one more hit. Rocket jump on, stun forward, the resets. Gunkrab will not live. It's a 1-for-1 trade, with Aladoric the only one to survive.
But when you look at everything that's happened after the dust has settled, Athletico are definitely in the lead. They got that Rift Herald, used it immediately, make sure they can pick up that first turret gold there. And in the end, to actually get a trade in the bot lane while all that was happening against a lane that you're supposed to be losing against, these guys must be feeling very good at this point in time.
But I got to say, Mendrix, Squidgy, sorry, when I said Aladoric was the only one to survive from Athletico Esports, but Squidgy just had a full lane of experience. He pushes it in. At 5-8, finally got to the bottom lane, but he is now 30 CS up. Him being the only one alive after that 2v2 is really big for a Caitlyn, who is 1-0-0 with an Infinity Edge and almost a second item.
Yeah, you can really see that Chaz is going crazy, though. Everyone's just going to be using their abilities to force those fights out. And let's get back to Squidgy, because now this is an ADC with Infinity Edge. He manages to have all those abilities in place. The fact that he's got that power spike means he can start rotating around the map. And already, the Sin Academy have already set him towards the top side, said, you know what, we know you're our strongest member at this point in time. Let's get those turrets down ASAP, make sure we can get to that late game when we know we are comfortable as a team and really take Athletico off guard.
It's going to be a challenge for Athletico Esports to start dealing with Squidgy, who is level 9, 5-8, has rotated up into the top side. Got a lot of wave clear on this Kled, and Athletico Esports, I think they'll be okay for now. Dandane's up here as well, and Aladoric is also someone to rotate. They've left Gunkrab solo in the bottom lane, and he's simply just catching up and make sure he can get on the level of Squidgy.
While on paper that looks like a good trade across, because they have brought their support up as well to support Athletico here, I still don't like it, because end of the day, Tekka's got those better all those better power spikes in terms of items right now. Taker
Yep.
can actually blow up Gun Crab if he catches him off guard because he's got that extra level advantage. It really seems to be a bit of a mismatch of the lanes there. You need to send 5 to 8 right now to go deal with Tech. Otherwise, he's getting an experience advantage. He's getting everything back to thing, and here comes the TP.
All right, so it's going to come in right off the backside. March of the Ants comes through again. I don't know why I'm calling it that. Twisted Advance pushing him back. Alidoric is stuck in the middle. I love Steeler's Wheel, but I don't remember that version, as he will be the only victim for this quick fight.
Sin Academy already identifying their win condition. The fact that, yes, our Caitlyn is online. Let's get her to move around and start flowing her resources and her abilities to everyone else. Now, they've got full control of that top side. They'll be able to get that trade in place. If they manage to get someone down to that bot lane soon enough, they should be able to get out of this with a turret advantage.
That person you speak of is 5 to 8, who still has teleport available, but the main thing is the turret goes down, and it is traded across the board. 600 gold lead for Sin Academy. This laning phase for SNA has been so great. Apart from that mid lane, which has been a little bit back and forth, but I think you really see them coming out on top, and this mid game could be a little bit punishing for Athletico Esports. They do get first turret blood, but there is no advantage for them on the board in terms of that gold right now.
Yeah, although 5 to 8 does manage to make that trade down there because they just left him down there for who knows how long. They put a lot of resources to make that gank or to make that trade up in the top lane work for Sin Academy. And although I love the decision, although I love the rotation from it, end of the day, you sort of need to make sure you're matching it across the map. Now they put their strong member where the next objective is going to be. I would actually know they didn't. I don't know why they're not doing that. Put Squidgy in the mid lane.
Where are we putting people? Putting Squidgy in the mid?
Put Squidgy in the mid lane.
All right, Coach Mendrix, what else?
All right, and then once you do that, you set up your normal 1-3-1 because the map's opened up now. Play to your team composition's win condition.
And you're happy to. I mean, the Caitlyn's got rapid fire cannon. You got 2 item Caitlyn. Why not sit her in the old midi? Sit her wherever you want. Gun Crab. This might actually continue on. Yeah, the charge is going to come through. Alidoric's there as well. Eva walks to the right. He might already be dead, but Squidgy, bear trap on a rope, might pull him back in. Tech has already picked up a Bedoink, but we're still focusing bottom lane because Gun Crab gets Eva, and it is a 2-for-1 trade across the map with Bedoink going down mid.
And this is actually dreadful for Sin Academy because all of a sudden Athletico, they go, okay, if we out-rotate them, they can never set up their 1-3-1. They can't get the map pressure that they need to make the team composition work. They managed to do that in the bot lane. They know it's a long lane. They've already taken out the turret. Why would you put your ADC there? Caitlyn, yes, she's got the net, but that is not mobility in any form of the way. And they can't even trade this back. They're going to lose Chaz.
Chaz has Chrono Break, but he might die before it gets blown up by Gun Crab. Not sure what Sin Academy are doing mid.
It is a series of unfortunate events for Sin Academy at this point in time. Athletico just seemed to be styling all over them. And now that they managed to really have that effective lead, if they continue to have this stranglehold, all they need to do is make sure that 5 to 8 is always going to be matching wherever Chaz may be, because really you want to make sure Chaz is the one with the better wave clear at this point in time, and just hard 4-man push anywhere else to stop a 1-3-1 from starting.
And this hard push that you talk about is working beautifully. Athletico Esports have started up the Cloud Drake, and it's just going to be 5 to 8 soloing it until they rotate down the rest of the team. This Cloud Drake with a Kled that has charged, with a Gragas, with a Corki and a Tristana, not your worst selection. They will take it down.
So in typical fashion, the Cloud Drake gets taken at 20 minutes into the game because it is a Cloud Drake. No, and many people put as much priority onto it.
Still bad.
But it's, again, still not there yet. But when it comes to the idea that rotations are really important, it becomes this, in terms of how valuable that Drake is, becomes so, basically the priority needs to be there is what I'm trying to say.
Mendrix, you're just trying to not call the Cloud Drake bad. I think he's just trying to be positive about the Cloud Drake. It's okay. For this composition, we can see so much that could be done with this Cloud Drake. Athletico Esports know the Baron is now live. They're just simply clearing wards and making sure they're controlling at least 50% of this map. Whereas you can see the rivers will run blue because red is on the other side. Praelis has not really had much of an impact this game so far. I mean, it's been him going up into the top lane, using that ultimate, whereas Dan Dayan is pretty much like, I'm going to counter gank. I'm going to, run with Bedoink. He got himself a kill, played it so much simpler. This is a good sign from Athletico Esports. A lot of life in his composition for Week 7.
Well, it's not really life at this point in time. More like Sin Academy just doing that incorrect lane assignment. I mean, like I said before, you put put Squidgy now in the mid lane. He had no reason to really be down on that bot lane, especially when the fact of the matter remained that, yes, they hadn't taken the tower down yet, but it's now a long lane. It makes Squidgy so much more vulnerable. Atletico identified that, immediately took them out. As you can see now, they've got a great goal lead. They've got all the tempo around the map, and Sid Academy can't set anything up.
That's because a lot of wave clear from Badoink especially. Gunkrab does exactly the same. 3-1 and 0 in this Tristana. 50 CS behind, but has the kills to put a name to face. And again, it's just 5-8. You look at that Kled. Having his game, 2 items strong, sitting in a side lane. When can Tekka deal with him? I feel like 30 minutes, 40 minutes?
Ideally, there's no real way that Tekka could actually deal with him. Like, the problem here with J4 is that even though he's fantastic in terms of his own right in that team fighting composition, as a duelist, he pales in comparison to Kled. Kled has so many more options in his kit to actually outplay someone. And the 5-8, we know he was able to do it against a Trundle, someone who's known as the king of split pushing.
Yep.
Relentlessly over a very long period of time, kept on beating away at a Trundle. That is a very impressive feat. And I don't think there's any way Tekka will be able to beat him in that sort of realm. He needs to be team fight orientated.
Athletico Esports trying to force a fight, or at least in Academy trying to rotate up. And right now, Chaz is not sitting in a side lane. He's going in between. This is a 1-4 being run by Sin Academy. They're just leaving the top lane, which is slowly pushing against them. Athletico Esports are just controlling this game for now. Gunkrab will walk past the parallel convergence. Nothing happens. And Sin, they've left 3 members mid. Maybe now Chaz will walk top.
I'm surprised Squidgy hasn't set up any major traps yet, or any trap lines along there as well. So right now, I don't think the mid lane is actually at threat. As you can see now, they've managed to actually match any thought of any threat of Chaz being up there by having Corki to continue to push that in. And Chaz is just running scared at this point. He doesn't think he can handle any 1v1. If he puts himself solo into a lane and all of a sudden there's a Kled just charging right on in.
Nice.
He's going to be absolutely outclassed just purely in terms of how ahead 5-8 is and the fact that that man knows how to play Kled.
What's his ultimate called again?
Charge.
Ah, that wasn't what I heard. You're a beautiful creature of habit.
It needs to be said once, but then you don't just like milk it over and over again. It needs to remain that one.
No.
One time only.
No.
Except in a major team fight, I expect you to say just before a charge.
Oh man, I do every time. Don't you worry. This turret just been left open. In other news, Athletico Esports, 2k gold lead after picking up their 3rd structure. Next Dragon will come up in 1 minute 40, and Sin Academy are left helpless again. Just trying to pick up what they can, and I mean that turret shot, good. That's what I call Squidgy, a turret shot.
So right now, Athletico are completely in the driver's seat. At this point in time, it's their game to lose, considering how much control that they have. Sin Academy need to identify when there's a misrotation from Athletico and collapse the fact that they're running a 1-3. So a 1-3-1.
Yep.
And if they do manage to catch someone backing at the wrong time, they do manage to catch someone perhaps going for that red buff like Gunkrab is though everyone's backed away effectively, so there's no real threat from him going to it. But let's just say that red comes up, Gunkrab's like, I'm going to go grab this, and Athletico continue to push up. Sin Academy need to jump on those opportunities in order for them to get themselves back into this game and get some objectives on the board.
It's still the game that Athletico Esports, we could say, should have been playing over the last couple of weeks. I don't feel like they really should be in this position of 3-3, but they are. They've got some of the most experienced members on their roster. Gunkrab was hyped up to be one of the best AD carries coming into the OCS for split number 2.
Well, one other thing to note with Gunkrab is he's still a rookie. He is still a rookie. He's a very young man.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he just turned 17. So he's quite a young man indeed. And at this point in time...
I'm looking at metrics because I'm wondering, how do you know that?
Because I've met Gunkrab before.
Have you?
Yeah. You should have met Gunkrab as well.
Have I?
Well, he's been at events before. Haven't you seen
I probably have. I probably have.
Lost is his hero.
What does he look like? No, hang on, maybe not.
No,
maybe
no,
not
no. I'm not gonna start explaining what he looks like on cast.
Beautiful man, great voice. That's all you have to say.
He is a magnificent creature. That's all I can say.
Creature. Mendrix, what I say about you?
I'm a magnificent creature as well.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Don't ever forget it.
What do you want? Did you want me? Would you prefer the term mammal instead?
No. Let's leave it at creature. Dragon's now live. It is another Cloud Drake, unfortunately, so you got the RNG Jesus on your side. But we all know that that's a lie. Double Cloud, again, Athletico Esports. Not going to be the worst Drake.
Not going to be the worst Drake. It is great to just keep denying it from Sin Academy as well.
Yeah. But Sin Academy will not put any priority in it, but instead focus their vision around the Baron side. Bedoink potentially being called out, just going to walk away. Sin Academy, do they start this? Okay, Baron hits. They're like, yeah, let's do it.
They're baiting. They're G-baiting at this point in time. See if they can actually get...
G-baiting?
Yeah.
I don't think that's how you say it.
G-baited.
Thank you. What is G-baiting?
I'm just decided to go with the term that I said baiting beforehand first, but fine, G-baited it is.
Good for you. Good for you.
Good for me.
Glad you used Twitch before. Teach you one step at a
Twitch,
time.
what's Twitch?
Oh, man. Wouldn't actually know. Big wave clip.
Isn't that an ADC?
I think it might be.
Athletico being cheeky at this point in time. Dane saying, you know what?
Oh,
No one's here.
Evers walked into the blind trap body bomb. He does not survive. Athletico Esports will find the pick. This could be what they need for Baron. Prayler still being very ambitious and walking forward.
Prayless is still up there. That's still a very big engage tool, and they might be able to get it.
Oh, wow. That flash forward was beautiful. Charge is still going to come through. Do they follow this in? Prayless has just gotten out by the skin of his teeth, and 5 to 8 will have that ultimate down, but Athletico Esports are controlling the pit around Baron, and Chaz could be the next on the list.
That was one criticism that I had for 5 to 8's his ultimate usage was quite liberal back there. Now the Baron is going down really fast.
Prayless around the side has to get a steal. Great ultimate from Gunkrab will get him the heck out of there. Athletico Esports now, they can disengage, but they've got the Baron.
They've got the Baron, they've got the tempo. There's no way Sin Academy can effectively set up a 1-3-1 with Baron-empowered minions. They do manage to get a turret for their trouble, but that was really just a consolation prize at this point in time.
But let's see what Sin Academy can hold back, because it's a 2k gold lead by Athletico Esports. They picked up mid-outer and bottom-outer. They've opened up the map and they've pushed the waves forward. Maybe if time's on their side, they have the Caitlyn wave clear. Of course, having that static, that third item, there's going to be so much going for them. But Athletico Esports, as a 5-man unit, are now looking to siege. But where do they begin?
Just keep it in that mid lane. You might as well go right down the guts at this point in time. You do have 5 to 8 continuing to split push in that top lane as well. No one can handle him. Tekka's just going to have his hands completely full going into that. And Sin Academy need to strike right now before they actually set up that effective 4-1 at this point in time.
Athletico Esports, yeah, as that 4-man unit mid. Sin Academy are clearing these waves, not with too much stress. Squidgy's doing a majority of it, but the bombs coming from Bedoink starting to really stack up on damage. Squidgy has to be careful. Level 13 versus level 16 Corky mid. That's all it's going to take. One auto attack, one crit. 5 to 8 is sitting in the side lane. He's pushing ahead. Sin Academy try to rotate up, but they just leave open a lane.
Chaz is waiting in the flank though, so here comes a parallel convergence, I reckon.
What do you save though? Prayless has just gone to the back line here. Rooted down, the ultimate will hit, but Prayless is getting taken down really quick. Chaz has just been stunned up, has to use the Zhonya's. Now Dandane locked down, times it perfectly onto Chaz. He chrono breaks onto the spot, and 5 to 8 has jumped in as well. Here we go. You need a 5-man ultimate. Tekka has to hit really big here, but Athletico Esports are not going to risk it. They back off.
Now, I know Sin Academy can definitely scrap with their team composition. You saw the effect of it there, and that was a bot execution, if I do say so myself. They could have done that much more flawlessly if they actually managed to get a better parallel convergence, have Prayless follow in afterwards with the two together, rather than as one after the other. I mean, Tekka wasn't even in there as well. He came in late. So for them to actually come out with only losing one turret and a box execution where they're behind is actually not so bad for Sin Academy. But Athletico are continuing to get more.
Yeah, but Doink has just 1v1 Chaz, who didn't have his chrono break available. That is going to be massive for Athletico Esports. Sin Academy ever is low. Prayless at half health.
He had chrono break, man.
Only just came up, man. Used it in the other fight before, unless he just got...
No, he used the Zhonya's in the fight before.
You also used chrono break as well, Mendrix.
Are you sure?
I was there, Mendrix.
Are you sure?
Mendrix, don't... Come on, man.
I'm watching this later, man.
We will watch this later together. I might watch it in the bath. I don't know. 4K gold lead. Another turret goes down. And now Bedoink is pushing up again in that bottom lane. He is not stopping here. Sin Academy have to respond to this, but it's way too late. This turret, one more hit was all that's necessary. I guess he does get out, but the siege minion is trying to finish it off. He gets close, but it's still, gold is growing and growing and growing. And for such an important game for Athletico Esports, that inhibitor turret goes down and it is now 6K. When they need to step up, it looks like they definitely are.
And just so much going down around the map for Athletico at this point in time. They're doing so well. Sin Academy are scrambling. And now it's just a matter of continuing to do what they do. Just get those objectives, continue to strangle out Sin Academy, make sure they can't find any of those big team fights where their team excels at. Make sure they continue to be on that top point. We said they need to have this game won by at least the 30-minute mark. They definitely have a big enough lead to make sure that you can say, yeah, we pretty much can win this game as long as we don't make any more mistakes. And now this is the real test for Athletico, because this is typically where they start to falter. They seem to just have issues closing out. Enemy teams are allowed to come back. Sin Academy, if they can find that big team fight, will do absolutely fine because they have so much crowd control. The Echo parallel convergence is just absolutely monstrous in, well, if you manage to get the planets to align. And everything else that follows through afterwards. If they can lay that CC, they can win a team fight.
But this doesn't look like Sin Academy. This is a Sin Academy that feels uncoordinated in comparison to the past couple of weeks. It is a massive gold lead to come back from, but if you have a scaling team composition, that's fine, Mendrix. But how do you play it? If you're not playing in good form, then it won't matter. If Athletico Esports play it better, they have the Tristana, they have the Corki still, it is not going to matter. Sin have got to get control of this game, or at least hold out for long enough that they feel like they can come and bring it back. I'm still worried. It's not Sin Academy from last week. It's definitely not Athletico Esports from last week.
It's definitely the 5-8 from last week.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, his score isn't exactly the same. They're just not solo killing to the same degree, but his pressure has been felt around the map.
So
and you could say that he's probably one of the reasons why Athletico are doing so well at this point in time. But Doink has been playing very well, but he also got a lot of helping hands from Dan Dane early in the game to make sure Chaz couldn't get up.
But doesn't he always?
Going.
Doesn't he always? I mean, it's always the Dan Dane and Bedoink
sitting in the
story,
back pocket there of Bedoink.
right? Like it is always those two who play their duo counterparts so well. Level 18 on Corki, and yes, he may have been helped early. But this guy has just flourished. He's 40 CS ahead, and he's got a Void Staff. Corki Void Staff. I like it. I like it a lot.
Does do a fair amount of magic damage. It makes sense.
Hasn't gone for the haunting guys, you know.
You build a flat AD and you just go for that earlier power spike. You want to make sure that you can win.
Yeah, I guess so. But Doink is actually going to get jumped on by Praelis. Knocked back, the ultimate to come through as well. Praelis has gone way too far forward. Athletico Esports, they don't need to force because they've just come right to the doorstep, and Sin Academy can't even pick up one. Dan Dane is sitting in the back now because Bedoink jumps forward and gets a huge crit. And Sin Academy shudder because Athletico Esports have destroyed their jungler and their support, and another death sentence lands. Bobbed out again. Has to use the Zonya's Chrono Break's going to come through, but will it matter? Flash forward, flash back, flash into the action as Bedoink picks up another, and 5-2-8 is having another good time.
Sin Academy have another boxed execution once again. They have the team fight available to them, but they just can't find the mark, and every single time Athletico are just getting further and further ahead. And I think it's at that point where now it just doesn't really matter anymore. Athletico could probably lose a team fight and still be completely fine because that's how far ahead they are now. And they're getting a Baron as well.
Okay, Squidgy. This is your moment. Oh, great death sentence again. Aladoric, this is why we put your stats up on the screen. This is why Athletico Esports are lucky to have you. Their second Baron and a huge gold lead that screams, bring me some tiebreakers, baby.
And they just continue now to push up, get that next inhibitor. I think they could just go for the win now. Those are two big members that are down, Chaz and Squidgy. The wave clear is not there. They're not going to have the trap line available. They could just go straight for the win. Sin Academy need a miracle to stop Athletico now.
It has been the hero story that we have been waiting for from Athletico Esports, and now victory is within their grasp. Now a potential tiebreaker is in their grasp. They are looking so strong. There are conditions that outline it, but hey, They've played a fantastic game of League of Legends here today. 10,000 gold in the lead. The inhibitor top is now down. The bottom one is down. The inner turret mid has just gone down. Its objectives left, right, and center. Another dragon to set you up.
Athletico are looking for the textbook finish. The fact that they managed to take out all the infrastructure around the map, all they have is that mid lane left to go. Now they can just bring everyone together. Sin Academy, you do not have the resources capable to stop us, and they can just brute force. That's all they need to do. There needs to be no real, just a little bit of thought into that engage before they go into it, but as long as they find one member, just let Alador get the hook. He's been doing it all game.
I mean, it's a different playstyle. When you think about how Sin Academy have been engaging and playing their composition, they're versing a very different team in Athletico Esports. Abyss Academy are very by the book. They're very standard. They are fantastic at what they do in the sense that their rotations are smooth. And Sin Academy, Athletico Esports, they're very rugged. Does that make sense? Rugged? We're going to go with rugged?
We'll go rugged. I think that works.
They are very, very messy, but in the same sense, it always works out to some degree. And Athletico Esports have been a team who have been in that top 4 position. We nailed them back. We said, this is just a little bit too hard for them this split. But I guess not. Sin Academy, their base is now getting torn apart as Baron minions are hitting up this inhibitor turret. Only one inhibitor turret stands left remaining, and Badoink is just chilling in the base. He will use the Valkyrie with the package and get out, but all you need to do is take one more member, and this could be close.
And we can see the strengths coming through. Having that, and it's an engage.
Oh, great engage. Aladoric hits the hook again, and Gunkrab is cleaning up these fights. He'll pick the turret, he'll pick the support, and Athletico Esports, now they're in the base, and 2 members down. Another great hook. Tekka's gonna go down, and look at this. You can't run because Gunkrab has got some resets. He's playing exceptionally. Athletico Esports have just blown us away, and when it counts, when it matters, they step up for the win.
We said just wait for the hook. You have all the resources that you needed. Alador says, wait for the hook. I'm going to give you 2 right at the very end there. They do as much as they can to actually force that down afterwards. I mean, you saw the March of the Ants come off afterwards. Everything was in the end there, but it wasn't enough. Athletico Esports had control pretty much from that 20-minute mark.
Exactly right, but Preacher, it felt like a similar playstyle, or at least the draft phase was very Athletico-esque.
Yeah, I mean, going to the playstyle, they played extremely similarly, which unfortunately, on one side, I like from Sin Academy because it means that you're expanding, it means that you're learning a lot from how to play the game. But on the other side, you're playing exactly the same way as Athletico. And if they've been playing it all the way across, then they're just going to be able to take it a little bit above you. Let's go to the positives. It's going to be like a parent-teacher interview. We talk about the positives first, okay? Because Sin Academy, they actually learned a whole lot about doing counterplays. There was one play that happened in the mid lane when Dandane on Athletico tried to gank it, and immediately there was a reaction bot side where they were like, okay, we have a Caitlyn, we have a Braum. This has lane priority. We're just going to engage this fight because we know for certain that Dandane's in mid lane. So in that sense, Sin Academy has evolved and they know how to play reactively really well. Unfortunately for this week though, they're up against a Tristana. They're up against a Corki. They're up against a Kled. You can't really play on the defense because that just gives them so much room to scale. I think that 100%. We remember in the early game, there was about 12 minutes where the score was 1-0. Come the mid game, there was about 15 minutes of which the score was just dead on as well. So yeah, it was a whole lot of not a lot of proactive play. And I would like to see them return to form, especially when the draft allows them to.
Exactly right. Athletico Esports have surprised us once again. Talking about that draft phase, I mean, there was a lot that was left open, and this time Athletico Esports chose not to pick up the Yasuo. It's something that we said needs to be banned away, or the potential to surprise it'll come through. Instead, prioritizes the Corki.
Well, first and foremost, I think Yasuo was banned in the second rotation.
It was in the second rotation, but not the first.
Not the first.
I guess easily counted, right?
Yeah, I mean, you really want to leave Badoink on the second rotation because it gives them a whole lot of chance. Also, you just don't want to leave your bot lane because they'll get absolutely banned out. But speaking of banning out, okay, so they got the Corki. Then they banned out the Talia. So you're thinking, okay, cool. So you could do some cross-map plays and you can also deny it from them. You know a champion who you can pick up to also make cross-map plays who wasn't banned? TF. And TF got buffed this patch. He gets 5% extra movement speed. Yeah. I think that TF is a silent champion who could potentially come back into meta if Talia is banned to supplement.
Especially for Badoink, who played that last OCS split. Mandrix, I wanted to ask you, was it a mistake from Sin Academy to ban away Vladimir and then what was the other and the Yasuo as well? Like, is Corky really that good at the moment that you'd put him in AD carry? Would you expect Gunkrab to play Corky AD carry, or were those two what you'd call wasted bears?
I would say putting Corky in ADC is a little bit of a less optimal decision to make. I mean, typically speaking, he just seems to excel in that mid lane, especially with those changes that he has there. And also add to the fact he's a very mana-hungry champion. He needs to make sure that he actually has that blue buff available. That's why you need to put him in the mid lane. Again, I feel like it was one of those things where they have been screaming before. They understood to a degree, you know what, they've done this before and they've absolutely wrecked us. Gunkrabs played the Corky instead. All of a sudden we didn't ban Yasuo and all hell just absolutely breaks loose for them. So they decided to continue to go, you know what, we need to make sure Chaz is looking strong. We need to make sure Chaz is doing well. Let's make sure we can keep Bedoink off those comfortable champions, and in the end, it ended up biting them in the ass.
Okay, but there was just one final point that you got to bring up, right? If you actually put Yasuo in the mid lane, if you ban away the Corky and you just say, hey, guess what? Yasuo is actually open for you, you would have had an all-AD team. So that would have worked against Atletico's favor. I think that it's something that they could have definitely leaked, especially in the last week.
I think drafting phase was really important. How they played that composition in the end by Athletico Esports was perfect. So for those of you at home, you got to be expecting Athletico Esports coming out of the fire in future games. Do not go anywhere, however, because we have more OCS action coming up for you in 5 minutes. We'll see you there.